Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to take all that complex source material, your articles, your research, and really boil it down into the essential knowledge you need today. And today, we're tackling a big one, generative AI. It's absolutely reshaping the modern workplace.
Yeah, I mean, Gen AI isn't just some future tech anymore, is it? It's the most talked about AI for a reason. If you're a professional in really any field, you've got to get your head around how to use it. It's changing everything, content creation, how media gets developed internally. So our mission today is pretty clear. Pull out those key strategic insights you need to actually leverage this power, like right now. It's amazing how quickly things have shifted, isn't it? Generative AI, at its core, it's really a specific type of AI. It employs these advanced neural networks, deep learning techniques, but it does something quite different. It creates new stuff, original content. The older AI might just sort data or maybe transform it a bit. Gen AI looks at existing patterns, could be text, images, sound, and then it actually synthesizes something novel from that.
Right, and we're talking about the tools basically everyone's heard of or maybe even used, ChatGPT, Claude, even things like Google Translate, which relies on this neural network approach now.
Exactly those. And it's this ability, this capacity to spark innovation and, frankly, just make creative work faster that makes it so important for professionals. It's time to move past just playing around with it. We need to think about integrating it strategically into actual workflows.
Okay, right. So let's unpack that. We can't really talk strategy until we understand, well, what's actually going on under the hood. Let's start with those basics. Neural networks, what are they really?
Okay, think of a neural network less like a rigid calculator and more like a sophisticated pattern detector, an engine for finding patterns. It kind of mimics how our brain's neurons work. They sift through massive amounts of data, and the connections between these sort of filters, they adapt over time. That's the learning part of machine learning. So
Yeah.
every time it processes information, it gets a little bit better at figuring out what patterns matter, what's just noise. Its performance improves as it learns from examples.
Okay, and while we've had basic chatbots since, the 60s, they're pretty simple rule-based things. The sources we looked at really point to a specific moment, much more recently, where things took a giant leap forward, when basic machine learning became this powerful generative capability we see now.
Yeah, that leap, the real turning point, was 2014. That's when Ian Goodfellow and his colleagues introduced generative adversarial networks, GANs. That's the innovation that truly sets modern Gen AI apart. A GAN fundamentally involves two neural networks working against each other. You've got a generator and a discriminator.
Croqueting networks, how does that work?
Well, the generator's job is to create new content, let's say, an image that looks real but isn't. The discriminator's job is to look at content, both real and generated, and decide, is this genuine or is it fake? They essentially train each other. They're locked in this constant battle. The generator tries to fool the discriminator tries to catch the fakes. And this adversarial process, it forces the generator to become incredibly good at making new things that are almost indistinguishable from the real deal. It learns the underlying patterns so deeply it can create genuinely original work, not just, rearrange existing pieces.
That distinction feels crucial for anyone listening. It's not just remixing, it's generating new patterns. Okay, so if these tools are that good at creating original stuff, where do you, as a professional, actually apply this power? You mentioned adaptability across industries. That's key.
Exactly. And when we look at it strategically for a business, Gen AI starts moving beyond just doing things faster. It actually starts accelerating what you're capable of doing. So the first big use case, it's about removing the friction of the blank page. We call it content creation, sure, but strategically. It means massively speeding up that initial drafting process. Instead of staring at a blank screen for hours, Gen AI can pump out that first draft. Maybe it's a product description, a marketing email, even a complex proposal draft. This frees you up, the professional, to spend your valuable time on editing, refining, adding that crucial human judgment, not just, getting words down.
Okay, faster drafting, I get that. But is it just faster typing? Where's a deeper insight for someone who's already pretty efficient?
Good question. That brings us to the second strategic angle. Using Gen AI as a kind of prediction machine for revenue, this is where personalization gets really powerful. By chewing through huge amounts of customer data, Gen AI doesn't just recommend the same old thing. It automates these really intelligent predictions about what a specific customer might need or want next. It's proactive. And that capability, suggesting the right thing at the right time, helps companies not just meet but exceed customer expectations. It opens up direct revenue streams that trying to do it manually, well, you just couldn't manage it at that scale.
That is a powerful shift. Okay, so content drafting, predictive personalization. The third use you mentioned moves more into pure idea generation.
Yes, exactly. Acting as a creative collaborator. Think of it like a brainstorming partner that never gets tired. If you're stuck on a problem, Gen AI can spit out, dozens, even hundreds of ideas, different angles. It helps break through creative blocks, gives you unexpected starting points. It just eliminates that inertia that can stall projects. And finally, there's document automation. Think about generating initial, often complex drafts for things like customer support guides or internal service agreements. This can dramatically cut down the manual effort needed from legal or technical teams up front.
It really does sound like this adaptable assistant.
Yeah.
And beyond those four core uses, the sources mentioned it popping up everywhere now, generating actual working code, which is huge.
Oh, absolutely. A massive time saver for developers.
Creating synthetic data for testing models, even providing sophisticated simulation training.
The applications are just exploding, which leads to the next big challenge, right? With all this potential, how on earth do you pick the right tool? The market is getting crowded fast, and the sources are very clear on this. The specific task you need to accomplish has to drive your tool choice, always.
Right, you can't just pick the most popular one. So to help make sense of it all, the sources kind of group the tools. First, you have the LLMs, the large language models. These are your conversational workhorses, right? Built to simulate dialogue, generate complex text, analyze written stuff. That's where ChatGPT and Claude fit in.
Correct.
And importantly for workflow, you've got integrated tools now, like Microsoft Copilot in Office or GitHub Copilot for coding. They work right alongside you.
Embedded assistance, yeah.
Then you shift gears into more specialized creation, like image generation, tools like DALL-E. And the tech there is interesting, isn't it? Diffusion models.
It really is fascinating. Diffusion models essentially start with visual static, just random noise. And then based on your text prompt, they gradually refine that noise step by step until it forms the specific image you asked for. It's quite remarkable.
Wow.
Oh.
And then there are tools specifically for translation and audio. Google Translate obviously keeps getting smarter with its neural networks.
Deep learning is key there.
And newer tools like Jukebox for making music, or things like 11 Labs or Well Said Labs for creating incredibly realistic text-to-speech voices. It seems like every creative area is being touched.
Absolutely. No medium is untouched.
So with all these options, just trying everything randomly isn't really a strategy, is it? You need some kind of process.
Exactly. Which is why we pull together this clear 7-step process from the source materials for actually selecting the right tool for you. Step 1 is basic but crucial. Identify the specific task. What exactly do you need to do, and what does the end result look like? A report, a design, a translation. 2, understand the capabilities, what are the real strengths, and just as importantly, the limitations of the tools you're considering. Don't just read the marketing hype. 3, match the tool to the task. Does its strength align with what you actually need to achieve? Seems obvious, but often overlooked.
Okay, makes sense. What's next?
Step 4. Consider the learning curve. A super powerful tool isn't helpful if it takes your T months to learn how to use it effectively. What's the ramp-up time? 5. Evaluate cost versus value. Sometimes the more expensive tool is actually cheaper in the long run if it saves significant amounts of time and effort. You have to weigh that. 6. Test the tools. Use free trials, demos, whatever they offer. Never commit resources without trying it first. And finally, 7. Make your decision. Based on all that evaluation, pick the tool that's the best fit for your specific immediate need right now.
That's a really practical framework. Okay, here's where I think it gets particularly interesting. Gen AI isn't just changing workflows. It's starting to impact really foundational areas like math and language. How's it changing mathematics, for example?
Yeah. Well, in math, the biggest impact right now is speeding up really complex tasks. Think automating intricate calculations, running numerical simulations, analyzing huge data sets way beyond what a standard spreadsheet could ever handle. It's being used to create predictive mathematical models, optimize complex systems, even solve tricky equations and optimization problems that might take human teams ages.
I remember the sources flagging a pretty big warning sign here. Relying on AI for math isn't without risks, right?
Absolutely not. Accuracy is a major caveat. These models, especially the large language models, they can sometimes hallucinate answers or make logical jumps that just aren't mathematically sound. They might get the right-looking answer, but too flawed reasoning. So, to maintain actual mathematical rigor, the sources hammer this point home. You need rigorous testing, solid validation processes, and critically human oversight. You absolutely cannot just take the AI's output as gospel. An expert human needs to check the work, verify the methodology, confirm the result. It's non-negotiable.
Okay, human oversight is key for math. What about language translation? You mentioned Google Translate earlier. It's amazing for breaking down barriers, but the sources mention issues with context, didn't they?
They did. Gen AI translators are fantastic for enabling real-time multilingual communication. Think business negotiations, academic collaboration across borders. It really does bridge gaps. But yeah, the limitations show up quickly. Context is still a huge hurdle. Natural language is full of idioms, cultural nuances, slang, meanings that depend entirely on location or situation.
Things AI struggles with.
Exactly. It struggles because it often lacks that deep, real-world grounding. And think about highly specialized fields like law or medicine, the jargon, the precise terminology. A general-purpose AI model often needs significant, sometimes expensive, fine-tuning to handle that kind of specialized content accurately. Otherwise, you risk potentially serious misunderstandings or errors.
And speaking of risks and challenges, if we're talking about tools generating brand new content, text, code, images, we have to touch on that major legal and ethical issue the sources brought up, copyright.
Ah, yes. This is probably the thorniest strategic problem facing Gen AI right now. These models learn by, well, consuming unimaginable amounts of existing content scraped from the internet and elsewhere. And the creators, the copyright holders of that original content, are increasingly saying, hey, wait a minute, you trained your multi-billion-dollar model on my work. They're seeking compensation, licensing deals, or demanding their IP be removed from training data.
Which poses a real challenge for the AI companies.
It's potentially existential.
Yeah.
How do these models continue to learn and improve if their training data becomes a legal minefield? It's a complex, fast-moving issue that legal teams everywhere are scrambling to keep up with. It requires constant monitoring.
Definitely one to watch. Okay, so given all this, the power, the applications, the challenges, AI is fundamentally changing jobs. It's augmenting some roles, shifting others. So for the professional listening, the person who needs to adapt now, what are the really crucial skills they should be focused on building?
Yeah, the sources were pretty consistent here, highlighting 4 core skills you really need to cultivate to thrive as AI becomes more integrated. First is simply continuous learning. You have to still curious, stay updated, not just on the latest tools, but crucially on how to interact with them effectively. Things like prompt engineering, understanding how to get the best results out of the AI.
Okay, continuous learning. Makes sense.
The second is critical thinking. This isn't just about using the tool. It's about analyzing when and how AI can genuinely complement human skills versus just automating blindly. It means actively looking for those unique spots where AI can unlock innovation.
So not just accepting the output, but questioning it, leveraging it.
Precisely. Third is adaptability. You just have to be open to change. Be willing to learn new tools, new workflows, and proactively look for ways to integrate AI solutions where they make sense rather than resisting them. Treat new tech as an opportunity, not just a disruption.
Right. And the fourth skill?
Collaboration. And this is interesting. It's not just human-to-human collaboration. It's about fostering effective interaction between humans and AI systems. Learning how to work with the AI, understanding its strengths and weaknesses, using its output as a starting point for better human decision-making, not just the final answer.
Okay, those are the skills. How do you bring those into the actual workplace? What are the actions someone can take?
Well, it starts with looking at your own work. Identify processes that could be streamlined or improved with Gen AI. Then start experimenting. Collaborate maybe with AI developers if you have them, or just learn the tools yourself. Educate your colleagues. Help build AI literacy across your team or organization. Explain the potential, but also the ethical considerations and limitations. Become that internal advocate. And critically, keep evaluating. How is AI changing the skill requirements for your specific role? You need to constantly adjust your personal development strategy.
That's a lot to take in, but it feels like a clear path forward. So just to recap our deep dive today, we looked at Gen AI's foundation, those competitive GANs,
The engine driving novelty.
its wide-ranging strategic uses, from accelerating drafting to deep personalization, the huge variety of specialized tools now available.
and the crucial need for that human oversight, especially with things like mathematics and ensuring contextual accuracy in language.
Exactly.
And we know, based on everything we've discussed, that adaptability and critical thinking are absolutely essential to navigate this shift successfully. So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to take away. We laid out that 7-step process for choosing the right AI tool, identify the task, understand capabilities, test, evaluate cost and value, and so on. How could you consciously use that structured approach, that process, this week? How could you use it to intentionally explore integrating generative AI into just one new aspect of your professional work? Find a specific task, evaluate some tools, maybe run a small test. What's one step you can take?